Well, ladies, thank you for joining us tonight for a wonderful webinar that I know you're going to find so informative. My name is Kelly Nolan, and I'm a women's health expert, but most importantly, I'm a woman that's gone through menopause and struggled with weight, and I know exactly where women are and what their struggles and challenges are. And I hope, and I know the information that you're going to get tonight, you're going to really embrace, and I hope that you'll start to put something into place, just small steps for yourself tomorrow, because it doesn't have to, we don't have to jump all in at once, because sometimes that is just way too overwhelming for us as women because we're busy. So I'm going to share screen and we're going to start the PowerPoint. I really hope that you'll sit back tonight and really have some time to reflect for yourself. Get out a pen and paper, make some notes. Feel free at the end or during the presentation, I won't answer them till the end, but feel free to put some questions in, because I think we can all learn from each other also. And I think that's super important. I know even for me, even though I'm a women's health expert, it doesn't mean that I don't learn from my clients. And what I've learned over the years from their feedback is how to make improvements and make this weight loss program very specific to women going through menopause. Oops, here we go. So tonight our topic is how to jumpstart your spring weight loss. And we all know that that's different for women in menopause, very different. And again, it's all about how can I embrace weight loss, feel good about myself, and know that even though I'm in menopause, I will be successful, because we all know that whatever works in the past is not going to work now. We are different. Our chemistry has changed. The person we were 10 years ago is not the person that we are now. So the tools in our handbag really need to be different than what we may have used in the past. Sorry, I'm just going to admit someone here. So just a little bit about who I am. You probably know this already. I'm a pharmacist of 30 years. I'm a mother of 4 healthy, beautiful children. I'm a business owner, and I'm a woman like you that's gone through menopause. And even though I was a healthcare professional, a pharmacist, and integrative practitioner, it didn't mean that I had all the answers. I really didn't. So don't feel frustrated, and just understand that it's not your fault. Weight loss in menopause can be extremely challenging, and things that worked, as I said in the past, are not going to apply to you right now. Although you may be able to take some of those pieces away, but definitely it's never going to be the whole picture for you. I am a pharmacist of 30 plus years, retired. I am certified in compounding. I took a lot of training in bioidentical hormones, which is, a little bit of my past. And I've been working with integrative medicine for an extremely long time, and that really is my passion. And my vision, my journey is to be fully transparent to women by sharing my story in the hopes that it will inspire them to do the work that they want to do for themselves, but perhaps they just don't know how to be accountable to the process. So I want you to picture your destination. If you're with me in my office today and I said to you, what is your goal for weight loss? Like, be very true to yourself, because a lot of times women aren't out of fear. It just sounds like too far off that they will never be able to succeed at that. But I think we have to be very honest so there's no resistance in the universe. And I want you to start logging down, what are your 3 top challenges when it comes to weight loss? I know what one of mine was. Definitely was eating too much after dinner. Eating when I got home, skipping lunch. Those are things that I really needed to change. So I want you to think about what your top 3 challenges are. Write them down, be true, because now we're going to be accountable to those, and we're not going to make any excuses. We're going to face those head on and feel very confident that we can change that for ourselves. So let's get started. Is this you? Are you happy? These are always the questions I need to ask women. Are you happy staying where you are? And if you're not, are you willing to embrace changes and be accountable to that? And how does your weight affect you personally and professionally? Is this really something that you want to change? Or is it something that you're not ready to change yet because you're just maybe not ready to make that full head-on commitment? And that's fine, because a lot of times, we have to be ready. We have to get that mindset going. We have to really know that this is the right step for us at this time. So like I said, I really hope that you stay to the end, take notes. I do have a special offer at the end. I call it Unveiling the Real Book, but for everybody that stays on board for this whole webinar, we are going to release you a copy of our new ebook, which I know you're going to really enjoy, and I'm very proud of this book. So the myths of weight loss during menopause. Where do I start? Does your doctor understand? Of course not. He's probably going to tell you to just cut back on what you're eating. You're going to ask him to do a thyroid test, and he's going to probably roll his eyes and say, your thyroid has nothing to do with this. Is weight loss during menopause all about nutrition and exercise? Definitely. Those are 2 of the 4 pillars, but it's way more than that, because we all know that once we hit menopause, even if we exercise an hour a day, 5 times a week, it doesn't necessarily shift our weight. And I always explain that to my beautiful young trainer, because she was in her 30s. And have you been told that your change in body shape has nothing to do with hormones? Of course, there's a connection. Otherwise, if you were exercising and following proper nutrition, your body would release weight. But it's just not willing to do that because your chemistry has changed. So if you're in my office, there's some questions that I would need to ask you. Remember, we're all unique. This is not a cookie cutter program. If you want a cookie cutter, then perhaps you could go back to something that worked in the past. But now we have to look at you as an individual. If you've had a hysterectomy, that could affect your weight. Super important. Are you on thyroid medication? Is it correct? Is it really working? Is it making any changes for you? Do you struggle with eating after 7 o'clock? What does your morning structure look like? Do you take time for yourself? That is so important. I know when I was younger, if you had told me that, I would have said, I don't have time. Are you a stress eater? Are you an emotional eater? Do you crave sugar? What do you think your challenges are? So I would love, as we go through this presentation and webinar, for you to start logging your symptoms and really think about who you are and where you are right now. Because although our topic today is weight loss during menopause, I'm going to show you how to tie everything together and understand that all the other symptoms that you're going through are part of this puzzle also. So is this you? How many hot flashes do you have a day? How many? How long do they last? Do you suffer from insomnia? What's your sleep pattern? If you're not sleeping well, you do know that affects your weight because you're spiking your cortisol at night. Do you struggle with brain fog and clarity? If you don't sleep well at night, you get up in the morning, your energy's in the dump, you're foggy, you can't concentrate, you're going to start reaching for the wrong foods. And let's talk about self-image. I know at 49 years old, I really didn't like the way I looked in the mirror. I didn't even see it happening. I guess I was just too busy and too distracted with life and children and work. But all of a sudden, I was a 49-year-old woman heading into menopause, and my body shape was not very good. So this is what I feel are the 4 pillars to release hormonal weight. Obviously, lifestyle and nutrition, exercise and movement, motion is lotion, stress management and mindset. Stress affects our cortisol, cortisol affects our weight. And of course, hormone balance. That is the 4th pillar to releasing weight. We need to consider our hormone balance or imbalance and what we can do to improve that. So step 1, I always say, is the magical ingredient. And it may be a little bit of a shock to you, but let's face it, weight loss is emotional. Eating can be emotional. So what is the step 1 magical ingredient? Mindset. I want my clients to do a mindset check-in every morning, maybe mid-afternoon, and maybe at bedtime. The goal is to get to the growth side of mindset. Mindset affects the success that we have with our weight. We have to feel positive that we can do this. Can we make these changes? Can we be consistent? You know, so many times women will say to me, I've been down this road before. And I get it. They've been down this road maybe 3-4 times before. And the mindset is, What if I'm successful and gain the weight back? So what I would say to them is, let's look at it this way. This is not a race to the finish line. This is a slow, steady pace, because the goal here is to implement a lifestyle that you can sustain. And the way to do that, one piece of that, is to really believe that you can do that you can take on these challenges, you can get rid of the bad habits, you can get rid of the big clothes once you lose the weight, because you have no intention of going back to that. So mindset is the magical ingredient to overcoming your challenges in order to change and to grow, because we know that we can always improve. What can we improve upon? Maybe we're going to stop eating sugar for the next 30 days. Maybe we're going to start fasting after 7. There's always some magical ingredient that can improve our mindset and believe that we can really take this challenge on and not play the blame game, but not be too hard on ourselves either. Just know that with persistence and a positive mindset, that we are going to get to where we want to be. So mindset leads into morning structure. How do you set that mind in the morning? I've learned a lot over the last few years, and definitely for me, it's all about that morning structure. Creating my daily mindset, 20-20-20 rule, 20 minutes of movement, 20 minutes of journaling, 20 minutes of learning or reading, taking that time for yourself with 0 digital distraction. And you may think, well, what does that have to do with weight loss? Well, what we're doing is we're actually working naturally on your cortisol levels to lower your cortisol level, increase your perspective and clarity. More importantly, when it comes to weight loss, not to have your sugar spiking throughout the day. So why is mindset so important? Because it creates perspective, and it can actually physically lower your cortisol level. Cortisol level is a big piece of weight. If you're spiking your cortisol at night, for example, you can actually gain weight while you're sleeping. This is how we get this horrific muffin top. We may be eating pretty well, but if your cortisol is spiking, it's not going to change your weight. You're going to struggle. So mindset is about clarity, clearing the fog, lowering your cortisol so that your insulin levels won't spike, your sugar won't spike, and your body will naturally be able to release some weight. So step 2 to me is a big overlooked element. Our hormones are what's affecting your body's ability to change to where you want to be at this time. It's such an overlooked element for us as women. And your doctor won't talk to you about it because he typically thinks you're in menopause, your hormones, you're finished, you're not having a period. But what they don't recognize at times for us is when our hormones aren't in balance, we're really overlooking a piece of that puzzle that's part of those 4 pillars that I told you about that really affects our weight. And how are we going to change that? It's an overlooked element of what your new body has become, because your hormones have changed from what they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Every decade is a new body. So again, I want you to think about yourself. Find your symptoms. Do you suffer from? And start to really be accountable to them and aware of them. If you're more aware of them, then you're more able to embrace some steps to start to change those symptoms for yourself. And I'm going to give you some really simple tips tonight. Just let's take it one step at a time. We don't have to do everything at once. Perhaps that's just too hard on us to get motivated to do that. So do you suffer from? Is this you? How does this affect your weight? Again, if you don't sleep at night, your cortisol is spiked, you don't feel good in the morning, your energy is low, you start drinking too much caffeine, grabbing for sugar, maybe having a morning or afternoon stimulant of sugar because you're trying so hard to get through your day. This is how this affects your weight. Step 3 is little things can make such a big difference in our life. And I know for me, as I get older, structure is so key to me. And it really makes my body feel good, my mind feel good, my cortisol feel good. So back to the morning success habits. I really want to drill this in for us. Lowering cortisol will reduce adrenal fatigue. And adrenal fatigue is a big piece of menopause that if only we knew, we would be ready, but nobody tells us. So what are some of our morning success habits? Definitely a lifestyle modification. When you get up in the morning, there's no coffee and a muffin. You can have coffee, but perhaps your lifestyle modification in that morning is to try to fast till 11 o'clock. Do the 20-20 rule. Spend 20 minutes meditating, journaling, learning, or exercise. You don't have to do an hour workout. Your morning routine could be 20 minutes of stretching or a 20-minute power work. And maybe you're going to consider taking some very specific targeted supplements. And all this is going to be part of your morning success. And I'm going to guarantee you, if you take an hour for yourself every morning, create success habits that are very specific and important to you, you are going to see big improvements, both in your productivity and your energy level and your lifestyle, because you're going to be reaching for a lot less sugar. So of course we want to complement the morning with the evening. So some things for us to consider, you don't have to do them all, but you could pick one or two, which are the easiest. Fasting from 7 to 11, doing a guided meditation in the morning, do it for at least 21 days straight, and then do the same one in the evening. Why? Because meditation helps us to sleep, which controls our cortisol and our weight. No wine, no sugar after dinner. And let's do a water check-in. How much water am I really drinking? Because when my clients say I drink a lot, what does a lot mean to them? Because a lot to me means 2 to 3 liters. So step 3 is all about commitment. Learn and take action. Create a minimum of 3 morning rituals to balance your cortisol, which will balance your blood sugar and help with your weight. And then let's start working on your evening routine, because they really go hand in hand to wind your body down and to help you to sleep. So let's get to the meat of this now. Let's talk about the physical side, the weight release. How do we take control back? Remember I told you there's 4 pillars to that. So taking control back means that we need to consider our hormone imbalance, because this is an example of a client, Linda, and this may be a picture of you. She was struggling with uncontrolled weight, unwanted body fat, heat surges and night sweats that kept her up at night, and very low sex drive. So I think part of what's important in taking control back is how are you going to bring down these barriers? And some of these barriers or limited beliefs may be, like I said, as I always say to my clients, I can get you to the finish line and lose your weight. It's what happens after. Because if we don't take on these challenges and change these bad habits and look at your limited beliefs that actually thinks that you'll lose weight and gain it all back, we need to change this. This is about self-examination. So over the last 10 years of running weight loss, I've learned so many things about women and what makes it work for them and what needs to get changed. Again, weight loss and menopause is very different, and I think we need to be very honest and very accountable to ourselves to know that there's certain things that we need to be honest, that we really need to change. Mine was absolutely nighttime eating. That was a big deal for me, and that was my self-examination, and how I could change that to a win was to start fasting and just to go to bed earlier, so I wasn't distracted by things like TV, food, and I was getting a lot better rest. So part of it is self-talk, right? Like, let's be honest. I used to think that weight loss was just about telling people how to eat properly. No, there's so much more to that for women. A lot of us are stress eaters, and our self-esteem is low, and maybe we go good for 2 days and then we don't, and then our self-esteem gets hit again, we get frustrated and disappointed, or we're always eating at nighttime. How do you take control back on those things? Picture your destination and understand why is it important to lose weight. I think there needs to be a why. It can't just be, well, I'm going on vacation in 2 months, or I have a wedding coming up. I mean, those are good goals, but that's not deep enough. We really need to understand, why do we want to lose weight? For me, totally self-esteem, lack of confidence, joint pain, low energy. There's always reasons why, and your reasons are going to be different than someone else's. And it's really, I think, important for us to look at that. And what are the three top reasons that women want to lose weight? Well, at our age, yes, we want to look good, of course, but this is an investment in our health. We want to fit into our clothes comfortably. We want to improve our self-image. We want to walk in a room and feel like we're just lighting up that room because we feel so good about ourselves. But the question becomes, where do you start? Because at times, many times, it seems unsurmountable. We tell ourselves week after week, we're going to start again on Monday. If I exercise an hour a day, I won't drink wine or have sugar. Sugar's a big thing. And then by Wednesday, we've fallen back again because we didn't sleep well. We're getting night sweats. So what are the top three reasons why you want to lose weight? And where is a really simple way to start? Because this is what I wanted to share with you tonight. You don't have to take it all on. One thing is to consider eliminating sugar for 30 days. These are easy, simple tips. I think it's a really good place to start. Eliminate sugar, drink 2 to 3 waters, consider fasting, eliminate wine, have your consistent morning structure, and I know that you're going to be successful. It's a really simple step in the right direction, which should be part of a program anyways. So why not start simple? Don't stress yourself. Just do the simple things that you know are going to make a difference. It's just really about being consistent and accountable. So these are some simple tips. Again, I think you need to be accountable though, whether you journal, whether you meditate, whether you have a friend that you journal with, or you're accountable to do a 30-day challenge with somebody. Check in on your water every day. These are simple things, and I know we can do it. It's just about taking that little step forward. But the big problem is hormones, right? So yes, we can change our lifestyle. We can increase our water. But what the big part that's also changed for us, remember I said what the 4 pillars were. And the 4th pillar is the problem is your hormones. It's a huge contributing factor. And I really feel for women that they can definitely get weight loss without changing their hormone balance. But will it be sustainable? Probably not, because the hormones at this age are part of what is the undercause of that weight gain. Let's face it. I looked at myself when 49, I didn't even recognize who I was. My body shape had changed. I just looked bloated and puffy. And this is why I wanted to share my experience with women, my success, and really get word out to them to let's reverse this now. Let's not be frustrated. Let's not be disappointed. Let's just figure out what we're going to do to change this. This is not part of aging, as your doctor would tell you. You can make some really solid changes for yourself. So we're learning now to take control back, and maybe just little steps, maybe 3 steps at a time, whatever we're comfortable with. But now what I want to share with you is a secret. And this secret is the most effective tool that I found to help women balance their hormones. And once I found it, I just felt like I had this huge secret. But don't think it was easy for me to find. It took a little bit of digging. But once I found it and realized that I could marry this tool with the weight loss program, I knew what a big difference it would make for women and their success, and how good they would feel about themselves when they were able to bring all these pieces together. So that most effective tool, it is a hormone test. It provides us with a blueprint, a map. Menopause is a journey. If you don't have a map, how do you know where you're going? How do you reach your destination? How do you have any sort of guidance? So this hormone test is the most accurate tool. It's really the final piece of that puzzle, that fourth pillar that I discussed when it comes to weight loss. It really identifies some underlying issues to help us to find all the threads and weave them together to know what is different for us in menopause and what is important for us when it comes to weight release. The saliva hormone test is the most effective, accurate tool because it tells us exactly where you are right now, gives us a baseline of your hormone levels, including your adrenal gland. It provides a template that you can follow, that you would know, okay, yes, I'm going to do my morning success. Yes, I'm going to change my lifestyle of eating. I'm going to have 20 minutes of motion in the morning. But I'm also going to balance my hormones because I know this is a big part of the picture of who I am and why the older solutions that I was, working with in the past for weight is just not going to cut the mustard anymore. It won't work the way we want it to. And remember, it's not a race, it's a lifestyle change. And it's embracing it, feeling good about yourself because you're addressing your health. It's not being deprived, it's a choice. We want to be healthy. We want to grow old with our children. We want to have grandchildren. There's a lot still on the horizon for us. So here's what your doctor doesn't tell you. He never will tell you about your adrenal gland. And this is a really important chapter in the book I was telling you about. Because if we knew to balance our adrenal glands, we would not go through near the symptoms, if any at all, that we struggle with menopause, especially weight. Because the adrenal gland balances cortisol and regulates metabolism, and it needs to work hand in hand with your thyroid. And if you're not taking anything to balance either of those, and your hormones are not in balance, it doesn't mean that we're in a state of disease. Menopause is not a disease, it is a transition. However, your best choice is to support that. And the thing with the hormone test that's so important is we could all have these symptoms, but for different reasons. And we don't know what those reasons are unless we get that test done. And that test gives us that great template and blueprint to follow. Maybe your cortisol levels are high, and that's part of what's affecting your weight. Maybe they're low. Again, you don't really know. It could have been high 6 months ago, and then your body can't sustain that forever. So then all of a sudden your cortisol is low, but you're getting the same symptoms that you would have had with high. Maybe you're estrogen dominant. Believe me, you really don't know. Fat stores estrogen. So a lot of times when women are struggling with weight, especially in the tummy, they may not realize that their estrogen levels could actually be high. They're not low. You're not walking around without estrogen. That's not physically possible. You do have estrogen. You just don't know where that level is. So that saliva test is that fourth pillar of weight release. It's a customized blueprint that allows us to put together a solution to fixing the problem, a very tailored solution, and it really puts your health first because we're permanently resolving your symptoms. And the ultimate solution is this combination with weight loss. And I have so many stories that I could tell you, but I have a new client and she tried our sampler pack. And what she said to me is every other time she'd done a weight loss program, she struggled to get rid of the sugar cravings, and she really felt different on this program because she started to take supplements that really start to support her hormones. So it was a very different process and a much smoother process for her. She did not struggle to give up the sugar that can be so daunting for us. And I could give you so many samples of that. Clients that have had hot flashes for like 10 years, clients that told me that their weight came on in layers. You know, first it was thyroid, then it was menopause. Is it my thyroid or is it menopause or is it a combination of both? But they figured out that the best solution in combination with changing their lifestyle and being accountable was to balance their hormones. So remember I told you at the beginning I have a gift? My gift to you is to give you a copy of that ebook. I know you're going to really enjoy it. It's sort of a sampler too. It's you know, a mid-sized version of the actual book, but there's still a lot of tips in there. There's some worksheets that you can start to implement right away. So if you want a copy of that ebook, which I hope you do, all I ask is that you email me in the subject line, put ebook, and I will send out that PDF file to you. And I would love your feedback on it. But the bottom line is, you're going to really enjoy that book, and you may see a lot of yourself in there, which is super important for women. You may have some aha moments to understand, you know, you are not alone. Menopause is not a disease. It's not your fault you didn't have the answers. But we're talking about the answers here today, but those answers need to be really specific to menopause and to you as an individual. Remember, weight loss at our age is not a cookie cutter. There's a few pieces. There's those 4 pillars that I mentioned. And your best results are going to come when you put all those 4 pillars together. However, in the meantime, you can take the challenge on and start putting together some of those little pieces for yourself and just get started, and let's get going in the right direction for you. And you'll feel so much better. Even stopping sugars and pushing your water. 2 simple steps for you to be accountable to start getting you in that right direction to, as we said, let's spring into weight loss. Spring's coming. We want to be wearing our summer clothes, and we want to feel really, really good about ourselves. So if you have any questions, please pop them into chat. I encourage you to reach out to me to get a copy of that gift book. It is my ebook. It is my gift to you. I thank you for being on board with us tonight. This is a really, really exciting topic. And like I said, my vision is to reach as many women as I can. So to let them know that they don't have to be disappointed and frustrated anymore. Menopause is not part of aging. It's a journey and it's a transition. Anyways, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Again, really, I encourage you to reach out to me, get your copy of the ebook. It's a nice little quick read. You're gonna love the layout, the information that's provided. And we'll see you next month when we post our next live webinar. Sorry, question. Sugar cravings in the middle of the night. That's a really good question. I'm going to say, again, there may be more in play than we know, but sugar cravings in the middle of the night, to me, means that your insulin and your sugar is also spiking during the day. You know, that's a really individual question. I think we need to look at what that person is eating during the day. Are they having enough protein? I personally think if they're getting spikes at night, then definitely supplementation would help to bring those cortisol levels down. So if they're already eating properly and they still struggle with that, then I think the reality is that cortisol level really needs to be in balance. Otherwise, you're always going to be fighting the process. And I can only imagine how frustrating that would be to be fighting sugar cravings. If you're taking prescriptions for diabetes, you can still take supplements. I've been doing this for 25 years. I have many, many women that are on medication when they come to me. We work around that. There's definitely no interaction at all. I'm just kind of feeling that if you're still getting those sugar cravings at night, then we have to wonder how well the medication is working. Although I'm assuming it's brought your sugar levels down to balance, you know, in accordance with your doctor's direction. But it's not helping your cortisol levels, and that's the big issue here. So I just encourage women, you know, if they're open to supplements, you'd be surprised when you get the right dosage, how fast they can work, and you'll see results fairly quickly. Yeah, night sweats throughout the night, that's a big deal, right? A lot of women go through that, and the problem is, you know, what came first, right? The hot flash, you know, the insomnia. Is it, do I wake up and then I get a hot flash, or is it the night sweats that are waking me up at night? And then it's affecting my sleep pattern, but that's a very treatable circumstance. It's really, again, you'd be surprised how fast you see results when you get the right combination and the right dosage of supplements. Night sweats, excuse me, for women are extremely common, and they can be debilitating at times because you're just constantly fighting the insomnia, fighting your energy levels the next day, probably struggling maybe to eat properly, I don't know. But it becomes a really vicious cycle, like quite a treadmill, actually. But again, those night sweats are very treatable. I think they're best treated with supplements. That's just my personal experience in working with clients over the years, that supplements can work extremely well. But you need a strong supplement and you need the right dosage that would be very specific to you. But yeah, night sweats, really, really treatable. It's just you need the right combination in order to have the success. But again, you'd be surprised how fast it can work. Thanks again, ladies, for joining us. I hope to see you next month. Feel free to reach out to me and get that ebook that I spoke of. I know you're going to really enjoy it. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.